Since it's now the clock on the wall says 7:35 and we're in the presence of a quorum, we can start this November 24th meeting of the Finance Committee. First item on our agenda is public comment. So next item on our agenda is introduce Brian McMullen for going to do municipal operations Q1 results. Take it away.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the FinCom. So this report is kind of the same report most of you have seen in the past. So I'll go through it, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. So Q1 results for fiscal 16. So I just want to make mention that this is just kind of an overview of the full financial report, which is on the town's website under the budget. So if you go there, you can find the full detailed report. So this is kind of an overview, just a brief summary of the Q1 results. So starting out with the general fund revenues, town meeting, we had a balanced budget of $83.4 million. Our target is to be at 25%. If you look at FY16 actual year to date, we're at about 24.2% compared to last year at 25.6%. A couple of things that stand out, if you look at property tax, last year we were at 26.2, this year we're trending at 25.2, so we're down about 1%. Typically what we see with the property real estate taxes, the Q1 Q bills basically are one bill. We do them in 2 installments, but many of the citizens pay those at one time, so that's why sometimes you'll see a little bit of an anomaly here. We go down the line to state aid, we're tracking right where we should be, 27.5%, where our target again is at 25, state aid being 1.5 of the total pool. Something that we broke out this year, which is kind of consistent on the ALG format, the new format that we're presenting, is the breakout of SBAB and reimbursement. We get about $923,000 every year for school building assistance. And that right now generally doesn't come in until the end of Q2, Q3. So right now you see that at 0. So I suspect that at the Q2 report or the Q3 report, you'll see that total amount come in here. And also local receipts, if you look at where that's trending, right now we estimated at 4.8. The year-to-date target is at 25%. Right now, our actual is 11.5. You can say, well, you know, Brian, why are we off so much? You look at the footnote here, motor vehicle excise, which is a good portion of that local receipt. It's about $3 million. We don't get that until the Q3. That's typically billed sometime in February and due in March. And also, as a note, our 6/30/2015 free cash certification was at $7.7 million. If you recall last year, that was 9.3. We spent a portion of that at town meeting, as well as creating a stabilization fund where we put $2 million in. So moving on to the expenditures, again, our total operating budget for the town was $31,468,112. Our year-to-date actual is $14,045,566. So we've expended 44.6. You're like, well, if you continue in that pace, you guys are going to be overspending your budget. One of the things that's unique to us here is that we do encumber a lot of our energy cost on day one. So, for instance, municipal properties, they know that they have an annual cost of electricity and oil and gas for our buildings and so on and so forth. And so they put a PO out, a blanket PO, say, for their total budget line. So if their budget line is $250,000, they encumber the whole amount, assuming that they're going to spend that. The reason why they do that, it makes it a lot easier for them for budget purposes, so they can hit that PO every time a bill comes in, instead of creating a new PO for the new bill. So that's why you see that line expended where it is.
Brian, could you go back to that one? Are you saying that so far we've spent 44.6% of the annual budget, but last year at this time we'd only spent 36.8?
That's correct. Yeah.
What's the difference?
And again, Steve, that's primarily going to be those encumbrances. You know, I mean, we don't control what the department heads do. They have a bottom line budget. They have those expense lines in there. It's not just municipal properties, but I know highway also, if they have a fuel line, they will encumber a good portion or all of that fuel line, assuming that they're going to spend it all. Again, they put one blanket PO and they keep charging those bills against that one blanket PO. So that could change from year to year. They don't always do it the same from year to year. They may encumber a portion of it, up front, and then, or they may, encumber all of it at one time. So it's, there's no saying.
It's still a couple $1 million difference from year to year. I mean, all that stuff went on last year too, right?
Correct, it did. Yep. Moving on to the enterprise funds. If you notice this year, we've got 5. In the past, we've had 6. Interesting because as of 6/30/2015, we no longer have nursing as an enterprise fund. That was rolled into the general fund. And also, council on aging went away, the van enterprise fund, and that has now kind of morphed into transportation, which is our newest enterprise fund here at the bottom. So we'll get more into that. But starting out with septage, again, they had a budget of $142,000. Our target is 25%. Their revenues are up at 32%, so they're doing better than what we had anticipated. Their expenses are right where they should be at 23%. And if you look at last year, it was very similar as well. So you're not seeing a whole lot of change here, which kind of makes sense. This is pretty much on the track. You don't see a whole lot of change here in the budget from year to year. And they also have a free cash balance of $149,000 right now that they're sitting on. Moving on to transfer station and recycling fund. This one has a few nuances going on here, but if you look, their total budget was $781,000. Year to date, their revenues were $207, so they're tracking right where they should be at 26%, compared to last year at 45%. That could have been last year they had a greater subsidy or some nuances going on there. Also with the expense column, if you look, they're at 214, targeting at 27. Again, this is transfer and recycling. They do a lot of encumbrances and POs in that budget as well. That's why you're going to see that a little bit higher. And note also that they got this budget supported by $113,000 of retained earnings and also $98,000 of capital outlay, which could account for that 27% as well. So, again, I don't see anything here that's alarming. Sewer enterprise fund, our target has $1,747,423. The targets for Q1 is 25%. Year to date, we've taken in $373,000, so 21% of the budget. You're saying, well, that's a little lower, Brian, if you were trending the same way last year. A good portion of the sewer fund has a capital assessment to the schools, $183,000. We usually don't put that capital assessment out until a little later on in the year, so that's not reflected here. And also the expenses are tracking a little higher than normal. Again, we have debt service payments in there. Those debt service payments we have a significant debt service payment we pay in August. So this generally will level out as time goes on. They have a free cash balance, certified free cash balance of $847,000. Ambulance Enterprise Fund, if you note here, year to date, $290,000.